wat sak vir die volgende stap.
Van my hart loop rugby.
Ja, mense, daar het ons dit. Dit is donderdag aand en dit is nie net enige donderdag aand nie. Dit is 'n donderdag aand voor daai twee groot kanonne teen mekaar uitdraf. Dit gaan ongelooflik wees. Ons almal kan nie wag nie. Ja, seker almal het nou is eintlik jammer of seker dalk goed dat dit 'n dubbel week was voordat hierdie game afskop, want almal dink ek kon ordentlik vooruit praat daarvan. Maar daar was ander rugby ook gewees en dit is ons nuus van die week. Van Renen, die girls doen goed, my maat, hulle doen goed.
Hulle doen baie goed, daai naand aan jou ook, almal wat kyk. Hulle doen baie goed, hulle maak geskiedenis elke keer wat hulle op die veld gaan. Eerste wêreldbeker wedstryd ooit gewen. Dit was teen Brasilië. Eerste keer vir Italië ooit gewen en toe nou sommer eerste keer vir die kwartfinale ook gekwalifiseer. So dit wat hulle aanvat verander in goud op hierdie stadium. So ja, nee, ons is baie opgewonde vir hulle. Hulle speel nou Sondag teen Frankryk en dan die ander games goed en dan sal ons kyk waar die kwartfinale heen gaan, maar ja. Hulle doen baie goed en hulle maak 'n ou trots en weet jy kan sien daai as hulle speel, hulle geniet wat hulle doen. Hulle love it. Hulle like dit om daar te wees. En ja, dit is daai passie van hulle is aansteeklik. Regtig, hulle sit in 'n ander halfrond aan die ander kant van die aarde, maar ek sit en skree hier voor my TV dat my vrou vir my vra wat gaan aan. So ja. Nee, ek geniet dit baie.
Nee, dit is baie lekker en natuurlik 'n paar gaste. Ek was dit twee sal opgehaal Nadine. So dit is lekker om hulle te sien goed doen en ons is al 100% agter hulle. So ons sien uit ongeag wat gebeur. Die dames gaan nog 'n rukkie daar wees. So ons sien uit na nog aksie van hulle en ongeag wie voor ons te staan kom, as ek seker die girls gaan 'n goeie go gee met 'n Swyse plannetjie agter. Ek dink die Franse game gaan 'n goeie toets wees, nee, Rene, net om te kyk waar ons is want hulle is 'n gedigtespan.
Hulle is 'n gedigtespan, en dit gaan ook afhang wat se span vir ons gekies word. Baie van daai girls het nog nie gespeel nie. So as 'n ou nou half moet, ek weet nie, jouself profeet hou seker. Daai girls moet op die stadium kans kry. So ek weet ek sê bly ek sê afrigter dat daai tipe besluite moet neem nie. Maar ja, dis nie nou relevant. Die feit is ons het gekwalifiseer vir die kwartfinale en ja, dis die groot rugby wat wag. So ja, nee, dit is verskriklik exciting. Soos jy sê, ons het al van Nadine Roos op ons program gehad, vir Swyse ook al opgehad. So ja, ou het so halwe, dis bietjie close to home, jy weet, 'n ou voel half invested in die storie. So ja, dis lekker, dis flippend lekker, ek like dit.
Dit is absoluut, maar nou is dit tyd. Dit is tyd om moue op te rol en te praat oor the big one. It is around the corner and we won't be doing it alone. We'll vang gees, as we say, with some extra guests as well. Renen, bring Dave in here.
Lovely. My good friend Dave Elgie is a raw New Zealander from Otago who moved to London a couple of years ago. And it's always nice to have him on. I can't quite see his face there, but there he is. Hello, Dave. I trust you well. And welcome to our program.
Keep having me. I am a sweaty mess, having just ridden bike back from the centre of London. But, yeah. I think you can do that. I don't know if you can hear me, boys. My connection's awful.
Yeah, connection's not great, Dave. Maybe if you try going off and on again.
Yep. Okay, Dave.
Okay, terwyl hy af is. Kom ons kyk gou vinnig. Kom ons vat gou hierdie kans, hierdie geleentheid, nê. As 'n ander game ook die naweek, Australië teen Argentinië. En interessant, hulle skop gewoonlik 12:00 die middag ons tyd af. Hierdie week speel hulle 6:30 die oggend en volgende week 6:00. Ek het 'n bietjie gaan navorsing doen en die rede is omdat dit die Aussie rules uitspeel rond as hierdie naweek begin. En die uitsaai-tye gaan direk by dit bots. En kan jy glo dat Australië rugby is vas oortuig, niemand gaan die Wallabies kyk nie. Selfs al het hulle nou so goed gedoen, hè. Niemand gaan die Wallabies kyk nie, so hulle skuif daai games daar vroeër toe, so laat dit nie bots met die Aussie rules nie. Kan jy glo nie, laat 'n sport soos rugby, wat 'n wêreldsport is, so moet sukkel in daai land. Eintlik jammer.
Ja, Renen, dit is seker 'n eerste en slegte knou daai, maar 'n goeie stand van sake waar dit is in Australië, hè. Dit is dat hulle dinge moet begin rondskuif om plek te maak vir ander sporte, wys seker jy weet die posisie wat hulle in is, en dit is hartseer want ek meen hulle het nou net die Britse, ek sê nou net die Britse leeu's gewen, hulle het hulle na toets gewen, nie reeks nie, maar en 'n wen oor die Bokke gehad. So hulle game is on the up, soos hulle sê, so mense wou gehad het dat hulle nou 'n bietjie agter daai ouens kom. Terselfdertyd moet ek uit 'n persoonlike oogpunt sê, dit's natuurlik nie noodwendig lekker as jy nou 'n biertjie saam met ontbyt moet geniet nie, maar dit is ook lekker, ek dink vir hulle vir 'n slag om 'n bietjie rugby in die dag te speel. Jy weet, dit voel vir my altyd so vreemd dat ons is, jy weet, dis vir ons tweede natuur om middag rugby te speel, terwyl die res van die, jy weet, veral die Australianers en die Nieu-Zeelanders altyd hierdie aandwedstryde doen, waar dit nou beter inval met die kalender of die TV-skedule van al die ander lande. So dit is 'n bietjie vreemd, maar tot 'n mate sal dit seker lekker wees om te sien, jy weet, as hulle 'n bietjie 'n droë middagbal het wat hulle mee kan doen. But let's give Dave a go now. Dave, everything good your side?
Oh goodness, I hope so, boys. I think we've got some load shedding happening over here. London's gone the way of South Africa.
Something we know well. Reden, go gooi jy in. Have a go.
Welcome to Dave Elgie, a good friend of mine. Let me just intro you here, Dave. Dave is originally from New Zealand, grew up in Otago, still a fan to this day. And he moved to England a couple of years ago and settled himself there. Today he's a proud Londoner, but he's still an All Black at heart, and will always refer to himself as a Kiwi. And he knows his rugby very, very well. Welcome, Dave, and thank you for your time. And welcome, are you well?
I am well. I'm excited to have a chat, actually. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm just nervous because whenever we get near Springboks, that's the one time I feel terrified. So I'm happy.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, before Hein comes back, we are also nervous. I wouldn't say terrified, but let me tell you now, we're more than nervous. We know what's up. It's big, it's huge, you know. It's massive. And, you know, last year, we'll get to last year and compare, we'll get to that later in the chat. But just looking at the game in general right now, the matchup that's coming up, it's just as big as it is. You know, always when these two nations meet each other, it's a big one. It's a big one. It's a rivalry. It will never go away. Next year, the All Blacks tour to South Africa play a full series of 3 tests. But that's for them. But that's just to illustrate how serious rugby is between the two. The fact that they're reinstating tours and all that. So now we're really looking forward to it and getting stuck into the chat tonight and, you know, dissecting the teams and hearing each other's views. That's why we are here. It's always a pleasure having you. It's a privilege. So, and tonight will be no different. Hein, please speak. I've spoken enough now.
Yeah, I think Dave, you captured it well. I think usually we go into the game. I think mostly lately, when it's especially been in South Africa, the South Africans are a bit cocky and expecting a certain result. And a few years back, especially, and when it would be in New Zealand, the New Zealanders kind of expect what's going to happen. So I think this is the first time in a long time that there's almost this real nervous energy about it. It could really go either way, and I think even, you know, the last 2 weeks coming into this in terms of the playing results, you know, it also went both ways to show that it's, you know, you can't really expect something. I think the weird thing about this one, it's world number 1 against world number 2, and it feels like there are more questions than answers coming into this game. You know, everyone's talking about the New Zealanders have got this issue at 9 and 10 and who's their fullback and things like that, but we'll look at the team just now, and the Springboks have lost one, and are they getting long in the tooth? And it's amazing to think that that's the kind of questions that are around the best and the second best team in the world who are about to go head to head.
Yeah, it's terrifying seeing as you look at it and as you start to line up the teams. I mean, it's fun, but I've been looking forward to this, and you will, I'm sure, the same for a year, right? Like since the last time we played, it's that thing where you're looking forward to it. And I heard a quote today. I've heard it before. I love it. The Springboks were talking about you have your debut, and then you have your debut against the All Blacks. And I think it's the same for the All Blacks. You have your debut, and then you have your debut against the Springboks because those are the big games, the big moments.
Yeah, I think, and that's especially, the good thing about the rivalry is, you could have your Ireland and your Australia and whatever, but I think that's just something special between the Springboks and the All Blacks of that mutual respect, and I think the game also being so important in the country. It's not like other countries that have got some backups as well. Just quickly before we look at the teams and the game specifically, just where things stand in the Rugby Championship, Dave. It's I don't know if a lot of people would have predicted all four teams 1 win, 1 loss, and it's all to play for at the moment.
Oh, it's amazing. I think I was reflecting after the last weekend's play just how brilliant it is. Like, I never like seeing the All Blacks lose. I hate it. But what I do like is how tight it's been and how everybody's got wins. Now, from our perspective, we've got a bonus point that helps, in the overall kind of slate of things. But realistically, now you just have to win. Like, that's the key to everything now. And I love the fact that there's no longer any room, no wriggle space. It's just all on from here on.
Absolutely. No, there's definitely, I think that's just the case of world rugby in general, though. It feels like, especially when you're playing at the other opponent's home ground, it's almost like they're going to be the favorite. I think pretty much the top 6, maybe even as far as the top 8, you're not really going to fancy yourself playing away from home against anyway, Scotland, Ireland. I'm not going to throw Wales in there. You'll still fancy yourself against Wales, but anyone else, it's almost like you just don't quite know what to expect. But let's do this. Let's maybe Reden, let's ask you first. Let's give Dave some time to formulate something here. What I don't know, what took you by surprise from this All Black team? Was this what you were expecting? Anything that stands out?
I must be honest, and I'm gonna, I don't know, maybe expose my lack of knowledge here, but I was under the impression that Cordes Ratema wasn't injured, and I would have picked him as my starting 9. So when I saw that he isn't in the squad at all, I was taken by surprise. But then I went and looked at back. Apparently he's got a fractured rib that hasn't quite. He's on the mend, but he's not there yet. So that's a pity, because for me that's a good player. But no, outside of that, we have mentioned it, that the All Blacks are a little bit thin at 9 due to injuries. So I think, if you're going to ignore that, let's say you didn't know that they are thin at 9 because of injuries, you would have asked yourself, who is Finley Christie? You would have asked yourself that. But outside of that, I don't really see anything funny there. A personal favorite of mine is Caleb Clark. I would have picked him. But to be honest with you, Hein, due to our teams playing in the Northern Hemisphere now, I haven't watched enough Super Rugby to be able to give you an informed opinion over Clark and his form and whether he's selectable, etc. But I would have picked him. That guy's a monster. He always lifts himself against the box without fail. So from an All Black point of view, he would have started on the wing. There's no question. And as I can't stand him, but Damian McKenzie is a class player. It's just I've got a pet hate for him, and I can't really explain to you why. But it's just my human side of it. I would have played him as well, but I see he's on the bench, so maybe they've got a plan with him. But that's my medium answer for you. Can't say it's short because I'm speaking too much once again. But that's my take on the team if you just look at it on the cusp.
dive into the 9 aspect maybe. Of course, rattled by injury
Yeah,
at
I
the
mean, it's
moment and third and fourth choice basically.
yeah, it's tricky because Cortez got injured in that Argentina game, and we'd hoped that he'd come back, but that rib just wasn't right. What's kind of cool, right? Is so Finlay Christie, look, he can do a job. He's been doing a job periodically for us over the years anyway. It's not particularly inspiring. And I always feel like he likes to inspect a ruck rather than pick the ball and get it out of it. And so you will find me on Saturday morning screaming at the TV going, "Come on, mate!" Because he can be a bit slow. But he does a job, and so I think he can keep us coming through. The interesting thing will be when they choose to substitute, or if they do, because I'll have to put the trust into Kyle Preston. Now, Kyle Preston's a 25-year-old, plays for Canterbury, but he was still like a roofer in 2023, right? And he's 25 now, so he came through that rugby scene. So he's almost like a throwback to the old days where people didn't come through a kind of academy as a teenager, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I think he was in the pathways and things like that, but he's largely come through, and so he's been in the Crusaders setup, and I think he's played some pretty good rugby, the bits I've seen, but I haven't seen a heap of him, right? Because he hasn't actually been at that top level for that long. So I'm really curious to see how they choose to use it, because there'll be that point in the game where they have to make a decision whether Finlay comes off, or indeed if Finlay gets injured, and they've got to put all this trust in Cole Preston. I will admit that I did see Aaron Smith helping out in training, and I had a little longing look at Aaron. He's still looking pretty sharp, right? I was like, oh, brother, you could do a job still, you know. But we'll have to back the boys that are there.
Then the quick one for me is, I mean, we're gonna go to the Springbok team obviously, and we'll see old Peter Steph the toy there. A big one with Tupovai moving back into lock, and then Simon Parker. Is he? It's a big call. It's a big game. I mean, the six flank for New Zealand is that open side or the blind side who's got to play the physical carry up kind of role. Big hits, be the physical lad, and especially against the Springboks, as I say, it's almost like you have to grow extra arm and a leg. Is he up for the battle?
He's a big boy. He's 1.97 meters, and they kind of have him on at like 115, 116 kg. So he's a big lump of meat, and that is quite helpful, right, against the Springboks. And then actually one of the nice things about having Tupovai slotting back into 5 is that he was really good last year. So we haven't seen as much from this year, but he was really good last year, and he was really good locking. But in Argentina, they had him in at the blind side, and he can do a job there, but is he elite? When actually last year, when we saw Tupovai in this place, he was better than Dogroll, or better than Scott Barrett. Sorry, Dogroll Barrett, not the prettiest of the brothers. But I'm quite excited to see Tupovai there, and Simon Parker. Look, I haven't seen heaps and heaps of him because he is new on the scene, but he is a big lump of meat. He didn't impress that much against Argentina, but then nobody did in that last game. And he didn't necessarily put any foot wrong. So this is a big moment for him, right? He gets to play at home at Eden Park. This is a chance to step up.
Rhiannon, maybe if I could just switch over to you before asking Dave my final one on the team there. The big one, Rhiannon, I can't even think we've spoken about these type of games. I don't know how often, but Bowden Barrett versus 10 versus 15, that kind of argument, it's always on the go. Obviously, a little bit more limited with Richie Mwanga not yet available, so it's only really Damien McKenzie versus him, I suppose, at the moment. And I think Ruben Love, they kind of tout as being able to play 10. But do you think Bowden Barrett is a 10 first and foremost? And then secondly, a little bit of pressure on the All Blacks after past performances under the high ball and potential of moving Will Jordan to the wing and maybe bringing someone in who's going to be a bit more, add extra stability under the high ball. So just that 10-15 combination set up in your view.
Well, just to break that down, Hein, as for Bowden Barrett, he's such a versatile player, and he's proven that a couple of times that if I was an All Black fan, I wouldn't be worried whether he's at 10 or 15, really. And they can even switch him mid-game, you know. We see that more often lately. Internal switch in the makeup of the team in the middle of the game. They bring a substitute on, but they don't substitute the player per se. They move a player and substitute somebody else. We see that more and more often, and we may well see it here, especially with Damien McKenzie in the mix, who is also adept at both positions. So I hope that satisfies your question with pertaining to Barrett. I wouldn't have too many worries about whether he's at 10 or 15. That guy is a natural baller. He knows what he's doing. As for the kicking game and the hanging kicks, I think too much is being made of it by the press. I think it's a narrative that won't necessarily be relevant on Saturday because for a fact the All Blacks like to run the ball. We know that. They are deadly off mistakes and off the loose ball or maybe even turnover possession. They are easily the best. Well, the Boks as well. We're also deadly on that. But the All Blacks are ruthless. If you make a mistake, you will be punished. So and that's got nothing to do with the high ball, in my view. So I think too much is made of that. The fact that we have Andre Pollard starting for the Boks, and we'll get to the Bok makeup now, but I just want to add this into the question. He will launch a couple of high kicks. We know he will. That's his game. He's good at it. But I don't think we will see the amount of high kicks that is being predicted at this stage. I think we're going to see running rugby. I think we're going to see some intelligent attacking play from the backs, from both teams, because both are capable of it, and the occasion is going to demand it. So, no, I don't think. I think too much is made of it, and I don't think we're going to see that much of it. We will see it. Look, we will see it. It's part of the attack. It's part of the game of the Boks, but not to the extent that's being predicted at this stage.
I think one of the interesting things with the kind of kick pieces, because we've seen a change in the game, right, where you essentially can't shepherd, and I feel like the All Blacks haven't necessarily adjusted to that very well, and so where it used to be that you could position yourselves and you could set up so that you could essentially shepherd the carrier or the person who's going to catch it. Now, structurally, you can't get away with that. So the All Blacks have been pinged for it quite a few times and don't seem to have got comfortable with it. And teams do seem to be catching them out a little bit. They will have been working on it and they've got plenty of talent. So you have to think they'll be able to get a grip of it. But they don't seem to have got a great grip of it yet. So it wouldn't be a shock. And then the other side of it is we do expect it to be a bit damp, right? So Auckland's looking like it's going to be a bit damp on the day. And so then when you put up those 50-50s and the handling issues, and it'll be interesting. And we know, we can see for that Bocky team, right? Like there's going to be a temptation to stick it high and put the pressure on.
I was going to say I'm not so sure about Rhiannon thinking it's going to be a running game, maybe from the All Blacks, but I think we know what the Boks are going to be doing. I think we saw last week they pretty much reverted back to type a little bit, or 2 weeks ago, obviously the previous match, and it was don't try too much, don't overplay like you did in the first test, and it was back to default setting there, and with Pollard at 10, I think you can expect that. And even Grant Williams, who's usually a little bit more of a faster pace kind of scrum half, has worked on that side of his game the last little bit. So I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a proper test. I mean, Narawa as well, still new to the test scene. He's going to see something completely different being tested under that high ball as well. I think the big thing for me with the All Blacks always, though, is it's a fine line, because if you do get it wrong, they're one of the best counter-attacking teams. So it's you also play into their strength a little bit if you get it wrong, or they start coming with a counter, and then you've got a unorganized defense, and that's when the All Blacks really are at their best. So it's a risk reward kind of strategy, but I think we might see a little bit of the kick game. Lastly, on the team news, I think I spoke myself of Narawa there. You're welcome to say something on that, Dave. But then also good to see Tabati Williams back and Terrell Lomax. I mean, that's a a good impact from the bench for the All Blacks, especially against everyone who's always talking about the bomb squad. That's looking pretty explosive itself.
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty excited about the bench. I think like seeing Tamaiti back is just really exciting. He had some great form earlier in the year. It was really sad to see him injured for a bit, and Tyrell Lomax just keeps on getting better. One of the things I'm actually really interested to see is Fabian Holland's had such a good year, and it's interesting to see that they're keeping some kind of timber. Now, there's a suggestion of whether he was new and I think he had 5 starts in a row, uh, and played pretty much 80 minutes on each of them. Maybe he needs to have a little bit of a break, but I expect he'll come on and his work rate is huge, so I'm excited. When I do look at it, though, one of the things that I kind of take note of is like Samisoni Tokiaho. He was amazing, right? Like I always, when I think of him, I think of those kind of him coming on late in the game and tearing teams apart. I haven't seen that from him anytime recently. And so I always wonder who we're going to get. Are we going to get the guy who comes on and can't throw straight? Or are we going to get the guy who comes on and breaks through the line and you think there's a fullback the size of a tank running? I don't know. Personally, I'm hoping for the fullback the size of a tank, but we'll have to see.
Well, that actually brings us into this one because there's also a couple of questions around this, and I mean we've got Jan-Hendrik Wessels playing off the bench as the backup hooker, and I mean that's pretty much the same question. He's lovely in the loose, but technically, I mean for a guy who does switch between prop and hooker, it's the technical aspect of line-out throwing that's the concern. You know, that's the big thing. We've been so accustomed to Bongi and Bonambe being the number 2, or him and Malcolm basically being 1B. They rotate between the two of them, and you never knew who was the best. But Bongi's almost slipped a little bit, and other personal reasons this week. And now Jan-Hendrik Wessels, but I mean just some background. I don't know if you know that as much. He is touted as a very promising youngster who's got the ability to play between the two. So big things are expected of him. But as I said, technically, that's maybe a little bit of an aspect. Rhiannon, bringing you in here, something that stands out again in the pack. Maybe Ruan Norkia. You know, he's stepped in now as kind of the incumbent number 5. More is maybe slipping back a little bit, and other players and Ruan is stepping in.
Yeah, I initially when Ruan came into the team, I had my doubts about him. As do I think more people had their doubts about him, but he proved us all wrong, and he did so spectacularly as well. He's a great player. He's always up for the big game, and this weekend he's one of those. So I think we're going to see good play from him. Just to get back to what you just said, I don't know, Jan-Hendrik Wessels coming off the bench, potentially, but we usually use all our replacements, so odds are we will see him. I am a bit worried about the lineouts because if you remember, at Ellis Park, Malcolm Marx also didn't always quite find his jumper. So, but it's been a couple of weeks now. They would have worked on it, but that is a bit of a concern for me. I didn't actually quite think about this before the time, but now that you mentioned it, it is there to be seen. But just to get back to your question, I'm very happy with Norkia there, and I like the the forward pack as a unit. Definitely finds my favour. Great players, world class, one of them, and worthy of the occasion for a fact.
Dave, maybe still just a little bit though, a step off from that big bomb squad that teams were kind of afraid of and got so used to. It's now we've just spoken about Jan Hendricks and his positives, and Bowen Venter has got plenty of experience now in the URC and looks a decent player, and Volker Low is a monster of a human being. But there's no Argia this week. There's Bongi, as I said, it was almost like this. Especially in the pack, you had like for like coming on and almost just as good as the starting lineup. And surely, international teams are now thinking to themselves, this isn't quite as intimidating what they've got off the timber lately.
Yeah, and I think so. I actually see some parallels with what it felt like to be a New Zealand fan in 2016. We had those players where there was just depth, and it didn't really matter who walked on the field. They were world class, and they were walking into anyone else's side. Like that 2015 team, you were like, this is the dream. And I actually do think I'm seeing a little bit of that, and that won't be popular to hear. But as I look at the team, I'm like, actually, there's some guys there who we need to respect how special they are, and that actually they're not people you can just replace. And that if they lose half a step, which I think some of them are starting to, um, even though there's talent coming through, they might not have the same mentality or the same thing. We talk about Bongi and we talk, but even in the starting lineup, right? I hear people talk about the talent coming through, and I'm like, I need you to not disrespect even Etzebeth like that, because that man is special, right? Like nobody's like him. And so when people say to me, "Oh, it doesn't matter, you don't know what we know," I'm like, I know what you know, and I know that Eben is not somebody you just replace with another fella. Sia is not somebody you just replace with another fella. And so like as I look at this team, I'm like, they've got a step slower, and they're not quite as fearsome as they were. Now that I think they are fearsome. I'm genuinely very nervous about the game this weekend. I think they're an excellent side, but there is a risk that we're at the precipice here. Now, Rassi is brilliant and he has been bringing in talent, but I just think as people kind of go, oh, it's fine, we've got more. I'm like, no, no, no. These boys have had experiences that nobody else did. Sia, Eben, Creel, they've all been through like 2018. They've been through those dark times. They've got the mentality, which is why I still fear them, because I know those boys will dig deep on Saturday and they'll pull up that bench. So even if that bench doesn't have the experience, they've got the people there on the pitch who will lift them and who know the moment to act and to go have a word and to lead by example. So right now, I remain worried about them because I think they've got enough of the quality on the field and the experience that drags them up. I do look ahead a little bit and I go, there's some cracks there. Like it's not the end of the world, and absolutely, I'm sure people will rise up. But let's pay love to the fellas who are genuinely quite special and still in that team.
And I think it's one thing, Dave, to also consistently or gradually as you go, you leave a Steven Kitsoff and you think it's fine. Ox has now done his dues, he's ready to step in. You use a Malherbe and you think yes, it's fine. We've got a Thomas de Toy who was a great player in the Northern Hemisphere, and you've already got Volko Lau who was tearing it up locally, but eventually, if you sit back and you look at all the pieces and you think, okay, but now we've lost two heck of a good front rowers. Bongi is slightly dropping off his form, and as you say now, I mean, we don't even blink an eye at the fact that isn't in the setup anymore. He's basically missed out now, and we've moved on. But all of a sudden, if you look, 24 months ago, and you think what the team looked like, it's very different. So yes, we've slowly replaced them, and it hasn't been so big if you look at one or two. But in a whole, it's actually quite a big change to what we've had, and we still, I mean, people are even now in the news this week talking about we're not really having a number 8 in Dwayne Vermeulen's shape yet. We still haven't really filled that from a previous World Cup. Visa has done a good job, but he's just not quite there, and he's obviously missed out often. So now we even juggling Sia around and things like that. So it's one of those that we just haven't quite nailed down. So they definitely are. I mean, even Faf de Klerk, who was the center pillar of the game plan pretty much for 2 World Cups, has now moved on and is more in the outskirts, and we're bringing others in. So things are definitely changing around. But at the same time, Rhiannon, there is interesting, I don't know, exciting talent in the form of guys like Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu, Ethan Hooker.
Yes, absolutely. Sasha is one of the most exciting players in the world. And I think I really don't think I'm arrogant if I say it. It's universally people say it. Even Englishmen and Scotsmen, everybody that I deal with in the rugby scenes, they love him. They love the game that he plays, and what he brings on the day. But what a contrast it is between him and Andre Pollard. And again, we spoke earlier about the running game, and not if but when Feinberg and Gomazulu comes on, what running are we going to see then? So, but that's just an open question that I'm actually just leaving in the air. But very, very exciting players, Ein. And again, you just mentioned, no, sorry, it was Dave that mentioned the balance between experience and youth up front. Now, you've got it in the back as well. You've got Willie Leroux at 15. And then you've got the likes of Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu that's going to come up at 10. You've got Grant Williams, who hasn't been playing forever. And then you've got the likes of Jesse Green, who carried tackle back 2 years. Today's captain. So, that's a great balance to have, not only in the front, but in the back as well. So, this is a very well balanced team, make no mistake. And I'm looking forward to what they're going to do. We'll get more stuck into the back line now, but just to answer your question pertaining to the youth, if you look at the likes of guy, it's Ethan Hooker himself. You mentioned now, what an exciting player! What an unknown for the All Blacks. So great players, and they will not be found out. I can tell you now, they are capable, and again, they are worthy of the occasion.
That's one side of the coin, Rhiannon. It's also we've seen Gaffie the Toy kind of examples. It's a big deal getting a taste early on playing against New Zealand. I mean, Ethan Hooker is a Shark, obviously massive fan, but Bowen Venter, those kind of guys. It's as they've said, you get your debut and then you get your debut against New Zealand, and then you get your debut against New Zealand in New Zealand. So I mean, that's like even a third one there. It's a tough gig.
Yeah, well, and it's sink or swim. And either they're going to sink or swim. I say they're going to swim. It's just gut feeling. I can't tell you why. But I've got trust in these players. I've seen them play enough to know that they will not get stuck in the spotlights. They will not be there in the cross, in the crosshairs. That's not going to happen. They will. Well, we may see mistakes, but of course we will. We all make mistakes. But Andre Pollard also makes mistakes. Even Etzebeth also yields the penalty here and there, goes offside, etc. It happens. But these guys are capable. I'm just very excited for it. I think we're in for a classic game, really. Even though, like Dave said, we could have damp weather. Hopefully, it doesn't rain like wet, because then that can take away a little bit. That can take a bit away from it, but hopefully not. Damp weather, it's fine. These players can handle the ball both sides. They can handle the ball well. So I don't foresee too much of a problem there. I'm just hoping for a great game with no injuries. Just good rugby all around. And I can tell you now, we will get that.
Yeah. I think you're right, by the way. They're not going to be stuck in the spotlight. There's enough experience across that team that the occasion will not be too big for them. That's a very sensible thing to do, right? This is going to be a big occasion. It seems pretty clear that Rusty's looked at it and gone, I need my old heads there to soak it up, stay close, make the All Blacks nervous. And I think that's probably the thing, right? Is keep it tight, keep it close, make them start to get in their own heads about the whole Eden Park record. So that it's that thing of kind of starting to go, what does it look like to lose it? Start to have those thoughts, get into the second half, keep it tight. That seems a pretty reasonable, kind of approach, and it strikes me as what they're looking to do.
I think that's
right, but that's.
I think that's the big thing for the Boxers, just playing away. Is you don't want to get behind 2 scores and the crowd gets going against you. And let's be honest, the Springbok game is at present not like the first one in the Australian match, but is one of a little bit more pragmatic. Try and force things, and then you often get into even bigger hole against the All Blacks when you try and do something out of nature and big passes and get hasty, and that's when they eat you up. I just quickly want to, I think Albie and Paul Terry were having a chat. Yeah, Paul, just Jean-Luc Dupree, he's out of an injury, so that's what happened in the week. He was going to play instead of Sia, who was still nursing an injury. So he's down. That was the reason why he's out. Some good chat happening on the side there between the blokes. It's good to see some interaction. Let's quickly go to the other game, and then we'll come up for a roundup on what we expect to see here. Dave, Australia and Argentina again. It's almost tough predicting where the Aussies are. You know, one week you see them playing delightful, brilliant rugby, and the next week you kind of wondering what happened to them. And all in all, you have to say the Aussies are looking a decent shot. Obviously, without Will Skelton, but surely one player isn't going to do everything, and they should be well favoured for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in Townsville, isn't it? So that helps for Australia that they get to be at home. And in the most recent matches, I think 3 of the last 4 have won by Argentina. So they have been taking the pattern of it. But I really love seeing what the Wallabies have been doing this year. And actually, I do think they were a little hard done by in the Lions series. And then they obviously did very, very well in South Africa. So I actually think this is in the hype for the New Zealand South Africa game. I think a lot of people are forgetting how good this game is looking. This Aussie Argentina match. It should be a real treat. I actually haven't managed to catch the teams today, so I need to go hunt those out because I'm actually really excited about the matchup.
I must say, I'm excited as well. I mean, we usually don't miss too much of an opportunity to give the Aussies a bit of a dig on the show. Usually not our favorite bunch of lads, but I must say they've been playing impressive rugby at the moment, and really enjoyable to watch. You know, we always say they can put a decent 15 together, but it's almost after that they've got the issues. But it looks like it's such a pity with Schmidt moving on, because it feels like he's just kind of gotten something going there, and now he's leaving. So that's what I think. I mean, I'm surprised people are giving Argentina a bit of a sniff here. I think away from home, Argentina just aren't the same team. So I'm expecting them to be taking a bit of hiding. I see Paul Terry has got Argentina is going to be victorious. So there goes my idea. Rhiannon, what are you expecting out of this one?
Well, first of all, I'm expecting good rugby. Like you guys said, it should be really entertaining rugby. Both teams play a good game. There's no question about it. The fact that the Wallabies have improved so much is good for the game in general. It's like in cricket terms, the world needs a good West Indies team. The world is poorer for it when West Indies are like they are right now. Now, like it or not, but the same applies to the Wallabies and to the Argentinians as well. Argentina is the one team that everybody loves to love. And the Aussies are the one that everybody loves to hate. Everybody will not admit it to you, but they are enjoying the fact that the Wallabies are playing good rugby. I was at Ellis Park, Dave, and I firsthand experienced that comeback, which was uh, not better, to put it to you like that. But I think what I learned from that is that these Aussies are definitely the real deal. You know, we've been saying to each other on our show that during the Lions series that they're looking good and they're looking good and they're on the up, etc. And we actually at some point wondered amongst ourselves how strong the Lions really are actually. But then
Mhm.
the Wallabies came here and we were in a position to compare apples with apples. And the results happened the way they did. So these Aussies are the real deal. There's no question about it. So I'm looking forward to that game. I think both teams will win. I don't agree with Hein in the sense that the Argentinians don't always perform overseas. They beat the All Blacks last year in New Zealand, and wasn't it the year before as well or something? But so they know how to win away from home. Whether they can do that in Australia, they have done it there before, but it's been a while. So they will tell themselves it's time for another one. So I'm actually expecting a big game. I'm looking forward to it a lot. This is a good doubleheader on Saturday. It's early and then again early, but so be it. We located where we are geographically. We'll just have to start early. But no, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good day of rugby.
What's your prediction score wise for that one, Dave?
Do you know what? Actually, I'm going to give it to the Wallabies. I reckon they'll probably have 10 points in it. I reckon I'd probably go with like 37-25, something like that. I do think Argentina put a few on. Townsville tends to be warm. I think it'd be all right.
Day game. Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
should be good running rugby under the sun there. Rhiannon, what are you expecting result wise?
Yeah, I'll go with the same result. I don't know whether it'll be that high scoring. Maybe teams will defend well. I'll go with the Wallabies. More than a score, let's say by 9. But it's going to be more like a, I don't know, 24-15 one scoreline. But the Wallabies should take it. Just to emphasize, let's just assume for purposes of conversation that my prediction is correct, and it is a mid-20s to mid-10s kind of score. I don't think it will be that comfortable though. It'll be more like the Wallabies to lead by 3 and then make it safe with a try at the end. That's actually the way I see it going. They will win it in the end, but it'll be a contest. That I can definitely see happen.
I think the Wallabies could win this one going away. I'm expecting a bit of a high scorer, let's say 41-24, something there. I think it's going to be waltzing Matilda all the way. Rhiannon, sum it up for us. What's going to happen in the Springbok versus All Blacks game? How do you see the match playing out before we go over to Dave?
Yeah, it's the one question that I don't think anybody wants to answer this week. It's so difficult to call. The teams are so well, weighed up against each other. The All Blacks have an issue at 9. They're a bit thin there, but the occasion demands. And for all we know, Finley Christie comes and delivers it on the day. We've seen it before, and we'll see it again in future as well. So, again, I think too much is made of that. I think too much is made of the aerial game. It's in New Zealand. The All Blacks lost at Ellis Park last year, where they actually should have won. And the Cape Town game, they were in it. Those games were close and could have gone either way. The top teams in the world right now are so close to each other. The current points table of this rugby championship just shows you that. There's nothing to choose between these teams. So I'm going to be that guy. The All Blacks will win this. I'm telling you now, they will defend their fortress. And I'm afraid I don't think it's going to be close. I think the All Blacks will win this by 13 points.
Really, you're making me nervous, mate. Making me nervous saying stuff like that. Oh, goodness. One thing we haven't talked about is the fact that it's Ardie Severe's 100th match. And I actually think that's quite important because he's a really talismanic kind of like inspirational figure within that All Blacks group. And obviously, we all know there's the Eden Park record and they'll want to defend that, but it's a much more personal connection to Ardie. And so I think they will want to give him that. And I do think that does give you that little extra something. Now, you never need something in an extra game. You don't need something extra against the Springboks, right? It's already that. But it all comes through. One thing I did notice, I think it was Paul Terry who said in the comments, no red cards. And that is one area that I'm slightly worried about because cards are so impactful when you have two good teams like this. But I actually think there might be one of those little magic 10-minute periods that the All Blacks have. The one where there's just 10 minutes where bang, 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 and go the scores. And I'm probably hoping, that there'll be one of those, and that'll give us a bump. And I think we might go like 32-18, something like that. Now, that might be more my bias and hope coming through, and I fully own and acknowledge that because I'm not very good at being taking away my heart from a All Black Springboks result. But that is me kind of going, I just feel like maybe we'll have one of those little 10-minute spells, bang, 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 gives us the lead, gives us something to protect, makes it really hard to enable, it's not just so much harder to chase, right? And that's one of the things that we've often had go in our favor. So it's a really long way of saying this is what I'm hoping for. we'll see what the reality is.
I'll wrap things up and tell you guys exactly how it is going to unfold. But just before that, Dave, obviously, I think England have been the holders of the Arabian Shield now for a little bit. They're holding on, and I presume they're gonna keep that for a little while longer. But let's quickly talk. I haven't checked. I don't know who the woman is. Is that one? That one must be in play at the moment.
So that's England as well. So England currently hold both the Rayburn Shield, the men's lineal title, and the women's one. And actually on Saturday, because it's the Women's Rugby World Cup at the moment, I'm off to Brighton. So I'm off to Brighton to watch the English women look to defend against the Wallaroos. And then on Sunday, actually, I'm off to watch the Black Ferns play Ireland. So I've got a very nice weekend. I'm going to watch the New Zealand Springboks match in the morning and then head off and watch some women's rugby in the afternoon. And by the way, boys, a note for the women box, who last weekend managed to get up and get a big win. Huge result for them. Really, really exciting. They got up over Italy and have qualified for the Rugby World Cup quarterfinals. So very exciting. But yeah, I'll be headed there, and we're making good progress. I should also be at the next England don't play until November, and I should be in Twickenham for that match. I'm currently trying to get enough funds together to have the Rayburn Shield made. Not quite there, but hopefully I'll make it.
I remember last time we spoke, you said you were really hoping to have a trophy that can literally change hands there. So that would be awesome.
I've got this one, which is the Utrecht Shield. The women's one is made, and it is there, but the funnily enough, the men's one is not. So the women came first for once. I was gonna.
There we go. But I'm sure at the end of it, I'm pretty positive that England are going to walk away from the World Cup still with double trophy holders. I think because they really look a different beast at the moment, and it's been a joy to watch. Geez, they play some incredible rugby, and if I had to predict, it'll probably be the Black Ferns. Huh? Is that what they call Black Ferns in the final? That should be a good one.
Oh, mate, I'm hoping for it. And actually, your women buck are playing on. So if you've got a lazy Sunday afternoon, I think it's like 4 o'clock UK time. The women buck are playing against France. So if you're having like withdrawals from Springbok rugby come Sunday afternoon, you can hunt out the women buck and see how they're doing against France.
No, we'll definitely. We've actually we spoke about that in the intro, myself and Rhiannon, and we've had Nadine Roos on the show before, so we big supporters of the women, and Swice the Brain was here just before the tournament. So now we all get up regardless, win, lose or draw in the morning. We'll be ready for it. Obviously, it's going to be a tough one against France, but I think it'll be a good idea of where we are at the moment. We're on a good upwards curve, and Swice has definitely brought something different. So we're looking forward to it, and at least we know we're in the quarters either way. But we prefer to skip you guys.
Yeah, to be fair, because that quarterfinal could well be another little battle between us. Be good fun.
Absolutely. Everyone, this has been the Losgemaal. I'll thank Dave now for coming onto the show. Hopefully we can have a little chat after we go off. I'll tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be a tight one. The Boks are going to get it done up front. Watch out for Pieter Steffertoy. He's going to have a big one. It's going to be tough with the bench coming on for All Blacks, but they haven't finished off as well lately. So hopefully the Boks to hang on to a 2 or 3 point lead, making it nail biting at the end. But from what we saw in the World Cup final, we know how to hang on and get it done. We'll see you again next week.
Just before you go off, people need to remember to tune in next week. We've got Marius Hubert on, ex-Springbok hat-trick hero, as well as ex-international referee Willie Roos. Mense moet volgende week inskakel. Dit is 'n groot fees vandag vir die tweede toets.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
Marius Hubert next week. Dave, thanks a lot. All the best for the weekend. I hope you do well, but not that well. Have a good one.
spiere wat staan, dis die spiere wat sak vir die volgende straf.
In my hart loop rugby.